Standing outside the heavy security doors of the Naval Command Center, the armed officer informed me that my name was deliberately missing from the official guest list. My own father had systematically removed every trace of my existence from his retirement celebration. Turning around to leave, I knew that the 3 silver stars resting inside my vehicle would soon rewrite everything my family believed about my life. My name is Charlotte Vance, and I spent my entire life existing as an invisible shadow inside a decorated military household. Norfolk was a city where naval legacy was treated like sacred. Royalty passed down through generations. My father, Captain Harrison Vance, was a commanding figure whose loud presence dominated every room he entered, while my family worshipped the ground he walked on. My brother Dustin was groomed from early childhood to carry the family torch forward into military glory. He was athletic, charismatic, and looked instantly natural wearing a crisp naval uniform during local parades. My father proudly boasted about Dustin to every officer in town, while completely disregarding my intellectual achievements in advanced strategic, mathematics, and complex geopolitical code-breaking competitions. In our living room, framed family photographs captured my smiling parents and my brother dressed in his military academy blazer. I was always positioned near the physical edge of those pictures, partially cropped out as if my presence was merely an uncomfortable afterthought. I quickly learned that unless you wore combat boots and shouted orders, my father considered your contributions worthless. Instead of chasing flashy promotions, I quietly entered the classified realm of high-level naval intelligence. For 15 grueling years, I worked long hours inside windowless underground bunkers, coordinating covert global operations that saved countless human lives. I directed satellite tracking systems that protected trapped combat units, neutralized ocean hazards, and prevented massive international disasters without ever taking public credit. None of my family members ever knew the immense scope or danger of my real work. To my parents, I was simply an ordinary desk clerk filing mindless paperwork for lower officials. The actual proof of my service lived inside a locked box, containing high-clearance commendations, and a personal handwritten note from an elite operative thanking me for saving his unit. When my father announced his final retirement ceremony, I traveled back home to honor his military career. I arrived at the grand banquet hall wearing basic civilian attire, hoping to quietly celebrate alongside my relatives. However, standing at the main security check, the guard checked his digital tablet twice and gently informed me that I was strictly barred from entering the venue. Glancing through the polished glass doors, I watched my father laughing merrily beside a group of top-ranking commanders. Nearby, Dustin adjusted his spotless uniform while accepting warm handshakes from distinguished admirals under bright camera flashes. My father made brief eye contact with me through the window, then casually turned his back without acknowledging my presence at all. I stepped away toward a quiet hallway table holding extra ceremony folders and found an internal administrative memo. Right at the bottom was the distinct signature of my father, accompanied by a direct written order to omit my name entirely so I would not distract attention from my brother. The sudden sting of intentional family betrayal burned deep inside my chest. While standing near the empty corridor, I heard hushed voices coming from around the corner. Dustin was whispering frantically to an associate, expressing his deep fear that my sudden appearance might overshadow his big moment. Hearing his trembling tone made me realize that my own brother was not merely indifferent toward me, but utterly terrified of what I had truly accomplished. Instead of driving away in defeat, I walked steadily out to my car parked in the coastal breeze. I unzipped my heavy garment bag and carefully pulled out my formal uniform, with crisp lines and immaculate fabric, fixing 3 brilliant silver stars onto my shoulder epaulets. I looked into the mirror and embraced my true rank as Rear Admiral Charlotte Vance. Walking back inside the main auditorium, the heavy oak doors closed behind me with a loud thud that echoed across the room. The master of ceremonies stopped, speaking mid-sentence as heads turned to see who had entered. The grand hall. Every conversation abruptly died down into absolute silence as attendees recognized the high-ranking insignia gleaming brightly on my dark uniform coat. Suddenly, a veteran elite special operator who recognized my name from a crucial classified operation pushed his chair back. He stood at attention and called out Rear Admiral Vance with deep respect. Instantly, 300 Special Operations warriors rose to their feet in complete unison, snapping crisp salutes that rattled the decorative light fixtures hanging high above the polished floor. The master of ceremonies dropped his microphone onto the podium, sending a screeching feedback echo through the speakers. My father stood motionless with his glass frozen midway to his lips, his face draining of all color as he stared at my shoulders. Dustin stumbled back against a table with his jaw open, entirely paralyzed by the unbelievable reality unfolding directly before him. I walked down the main aisle with calm grace, taking an empty seat in the front row without saying a single word. Top admirals immediately stepped forward to shake my hand, expressing immense gratitude for the classified strategic victories I had led over the past decade. The room erupted into thunderous applause, completely transforming the event from a tribute to my father into a celebration of truth. When the formal event concluded, Dustin approached me with shaking hands and asked how many years I had been hiding my actual position. When I calmly answered 15 years, he took a step back in utter disbelief. My father approached slowly, gazing at my 3 stars before offering a firm, silent nod of absolute respect and complete recognition of his mistake. 6 months later, I visited my parents' home for a quiet weekend dinner with the family. The display case in the living room had been altered to prominently feature one of my prestigious service medals alongside the portrait of my brother. My father sat at the dinner table asking sincere questions about my leadership, responsibilities, finally treating me with the profound respect I had always deserved. Driving home beneath the evening sky, I realized that true worth never depends on the approval or validation of others. The painful years of being erased had only forged my inner strength and guided me toward my own purpose. By stepping proudly into the light, I proved that truth and dedication will always break through the shadows of dismissal and rejection.